A national energy expert from the North American Electric Reliability Corporation recently warned Ohio's leaders that the state is betting too much on unreliable solar power. He urged the need to develop more natural gas-fired power plants or risk electric grid failures in the foreseeable future. Yet Ohio continues to allow solar companies to build industrial solar plants on vast stretches of some of the most fertile farm ground in America, often in the face of strong local government and public opposition. In fact, Ohio will soon reach 100,000 acres of farmland sacrificed for solar panels and the unreliable power they produce. But why the headlong rush into solar at all costs, including the loss of one of Ohio's most precious and irreplaceable resources, our iconic and famously productive farmland? The answer largely rests with federal solar subsidies and the big tech frenzy to meet unrealistic renewable energy quotas. I'm Brendan Shea, Commissioner-elect from Madison County. I was recently elected by a 36 percentage point margin in a four-way race over a longtime commissioner who has presided over Madison County becoming a haven of industrial solar development. The voters spoke convincingly of their desire to halt this trend. On behalf of my community, I'd like to share our situation and the breathtaking amount of fertile farmland we've lost to solar panels in recent years. Let's hop in this airplane and take a look from above. With almost 10,000 acres of prime farm ground already lost to solar, and another 6,000 with preliminary approval, Madison County has truly become the solar capital of the state, to the great displeasure of most residents here. We're now above the massive Fox Squirrel solar development, which recently came online, becoming the largest operational solar plant in the state. The site consists of 1.4 million panels and occupies 4,500 acres of what was the well-known Lower Gwynn Farm. We're now above the proposed site of the Oak Run Solar Project. This proposal, which would be one of the largest solar plants in the country, would take up over 6,000 acres across 3 townships. The land, known as the historic Oralton Farms, is not currently owned by a Madison County family or steward of the land. It's owned by tech billionaire Bill Gates. The project was initially approved this March by the Ohio Power Siting Board, but is currently being appealed by all 3 county commissioners and all 9 township trustees. It would generate up to 800 megawatts of intermittent power, meaning it only works part of the day during peak sunshine hours. So that's 6,000 acres of land to generate 800 megawatts of unreliable power. For comparison, the Lordstown Energy natural gas-fired plant near Youngstown, Ohio, can generate 940 megawatts on just 17 acres. That's almost 20% more power from 99% less land. Here we see the enormous warehouses and data centers being developed by big tech. While some of these companies have installed rooftop solar at certain facilities, it's quite apparent that the expansive rooftops, parking lots, and properties you see here are not covered by solar panels. It raises the question, why would an otherwise useless surface areas be covered with panels before we start covering and potentially harming our precious farm ground? For the sake of land use comparison, we want to show you a natural gas power plant. Here we are over the Dresden natural gas-fired power plant, which produces about 500 megawatts of electricity. You can see that the plant has a comparatively small footprint, operating on about 25 acres of land, and it uses clean, Ohio-produced natural gas. Ohio now imports about 20% of its electricity from neighboring states. New gas power plants have not fully met the state's growing demand. To support economic growth and meet the energy needs of new industries and data centers, Ohio faces a critical challenge: the necessity of building new, reliable electricity generation infrastructure. Are Ohioans prepared to squander additional farmland to satisfy the renewable energy demands of big government and big tech? I assure you that Madison County residents are not, and neither are local communities and government leaders throughout the state. At least 20 counties have already passed bans on industrial-scale solar. Pretending renewable energy is going to meet our needs is a disservice to current and future residents of the great state of Ohio. Continuing down this path will only decrease our food security, increase our dependence on Chinese solar panels and batteries, and lead to an unreliable grid beset with power shortages and outages. Ohio needs a real energy plan that recognizes the centrality of affordable, reliable, clean natural gas-fired electricity for propelling our economy forward.